This is how the United States Secretary of War responded to the proven false allegations of war crimes pushed at him from the Democrats and the entire mainstream media. For your Christmas wish list, a classic Franklin story. Franklin targets narco-terrorists. And he just has Franklin blowing up narco-terrorists. Now, the reason why I'm laughing at the loss of human life is that these human lives deserve to get lost. I know, it's a very sad, horrible thing to say, but I firmly believe that if someone is trying to kill you, you should be killing them first, actually. Now, the media's coverage of this has been nothing short of absolutely eye-opening to your average human being watching them run defense for narco-terrorists, but the disgusting part is that they ran an entire slanderous story on Pete Hegseth about how Pete Hegseth hunted down and murdered survivors, which has been completely unsourced. They looked into it. There was zero actual basis for this claim, as I've covered in my previous video on this topic, which you should definitely check out. But they essentially used this slanderous story to push this entire narrative about how Pete Hegseth and everyone in the chain of command is a war criminal and deserves to be executed for it. In my previous video when I covered this, when the allegations broke, I immediately said, notice how they're all saying, if true, he's a war criminal. Anytime the Democrats say if true, it means it's not true, and they're just saying it because they want to push this information to the voters who won't actually do deep dive and firmly believe that the government does war crimes. I actually have noticed this in the past, and that's why I immediately caught on to it. You could go watch my previous video. I literally point out that they say if true, which means it's probably not true. They said the same thing about Israel war crimes and genocide, when the reality is there was definitely no genocide, and if there were war crimes, then they were definitely done on an individual basis, not institutionalized. The whole myth of targeting civilians was actually debunked when the numbers came out, and it turned out that over a third of the people killed were Hamas terrorists, and 85% of the people dead were combat-aged males. That is obviously not targeting civilians. So the numbers came out, disproved everything, and the NPCs had to change the chip in their brain from Free Palestine to defend Venezuela terrorists. So once again, you got to put another penny in the Nux was right again jar. It happens a lot. Definitely subscribe. So this tweet, Franklin targets narco-terrorists, went a little bit mega viral. People think that the world is on the side of the leftoids because the media is running defense for the leftoids, but the world is very much not on the side of the leftoids. So this has 178,000 likes, 25 million views. This went really viral, just Franklin targeting narco-terrorists. Now, the funny thing, obviously, is the response. So Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs, here, I fixed it for you. Franklin, scribble, 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 is a war criminal. Yeah, that's right. It's a war crime to kill people that are directly trying to kill you and kill American citizens and have successfully killed hundreds of thousands of Americans through drug trafficking. Is a war criminal, says the leftists. Dude, watching the leftists run defense for narco-terrorists is something I did not have on my bingo card, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Now, this is another instance of the left can't meme. This is like the whole meme. The right, the left can't meme. The left, the scribble, 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 right can't meme. And they're like, dude, they're literally doing this every single time. Like, they don't even mean it, man. They don't even mean it, but they're just so unfathomably unfunny. It's incredible. I guess you can't rely on pre-programmed, lobotomized NPCs for their sense of humor. But anyway, so this is a congresswoman alleging war crimes, which was turned out to be false. This is, once again, in my opinion, the leftist strategy of saying, Trump is like Hitler. Trump is a Nazi. Pete Hegseth is a war criminal. The goal here is to slander people as much as possible, and hopefully some deranged, I don't know, transgender Islamist will kill them. It seems to be the goal of the left, as it always was. And now it's actually obvious. And unfortunately, the news is out. We know the game now. And the funniest thing is, man, the memes are proving exactly which side the culture is on. Liberals, dead drug traffickers, no! No! The NPC, the Free Palestine chip goes out, I stand with Venezuela goes in. So, the funniest thing is, the actual Franklin publishers responded to Pete Hegseth making the meme, okay? I can't believe we're living on this timeline. Kids can press. We're going to cover all the actual serious allegations and stuff first, but I think public opinion is serious as well, so we're going to look at this. This is amazing. Franklin the Turtle is a beloved Canadian icon who has inspired generations of children and stands for kindness, empathy, and inclusivity. We strongly condemn any denigrating, violent, or unauthorized use of Franklin's name or image, which directly contradict these values. Franklin. So they decided to respond with this, and unfortunately, I don't think they understand a little thing called the Streisand effect, because Franklin is now an American hero, whether they like it or not. So, you know, this is the classic Democrats, leave the drug traffickers alone. But I'm not gonna lie to you, this has been diabolical. So, the original Franklin post got ratioed to oblivion. Sorry, but Franklin belongs to us now. Franklin grows tired of immigrants and their behavior. Oh my fucking god. Oh, Franklin defends the border with force. Yes, go Franklin. Go Franklin. I support you all the way. Right? Oh, dude, hold on. I have to say this. You know what? Fine. We'll just show this now. So, this is a senator of the United States saying that Hegseth should resign. And if this reporting is true, President Trump should fire the secretary, as did with the other underperforming candidates and members in his first administration. Hegseth order on first Caribbean boat strike. Officials say, kill them all. This is a whole hoax article making believe that Hegseth made an order to track down and kill survivors. Injured survivors as two men clung to a stricken burning ship targeted by SEAL Team 6. The Joint Special Operations Commander followed the Defense Secretary's order to leave no survivors. Now, I'm actually going to make my stance here clear. All right, and this is going to be very controversial. I think leaving no survivors is a justifiable act. I don't think it's a war crime whatsoever, because unfortunately for these guys, this isn't a war. I know the left is the party of war, as you can tell by all the wars that started under Biden, but unfortunately they really unfortunately don't have a case here, because these are terrorists. These aren't like enemy combatants in a war. These are people committing war crimes, drugging our people and trafficking people into our nation. With all due respect, if they are able-bodied terrorists tied to a terrorist organization, then yeah, I actually do support, murking them. But that said, it turned out that this article was also completely false. It was debunked, as I'll show you today, in a giant hoax to paint the entire chain of command in the United States as war criminals. Essentially, to, rile up the leftoids that can't read and didn't notice that it keeps saying, if true... if true is always not true when the left says it. When the left says if true, it means it's not true. Just pay attention. You'll notice it happens a lot. So he got ratioed to oblivion. So this is him saying that Alyssa Slotkin, this is her saying that Secretary Hegseth should resign. If true, Trump should fire him. Franklin shows his classmates how to identify a spook. You see, this is someone that gaslights because she has George Soros money. Thank you, Franklin, for showing us the way. Thank you, Franklin. Now, the left tries to respond, obviously, with Franklin releases the Epstein files. Dude, this is horrible. This is just not even a funny meme. It's not funny. It looks like shit. The left actually can't meme. Like, you don't understand. This is the best you got. Franklin is awesome. Franklin arrests the traitors. Based Franklin, a patriot, a hero. Franklin just wants his country back. No, don't be racist, Franklin. This doesn't support us. Franklin and Pete Hegseth laughs at communists. No, but this doesn't follow the values of what Franklin actually wanted. No, this is so sad. Dude, I love this man. Franklin learns about George Floyd's autopsy. It was fentanyl, what? So anyway, let's just say the Streisand effect Streisanded really hard. All right, let's get back to the meat and potatoes here. So this is the Politico article where lawmakers warn that Hegseth may have committed war crimes following Second Strike report. This is what we call a nothing burger story, all right? May have committed war crimes means absolutely nothing. This is just a phrasing that can't get you sued because you said may have committed war crimes, so you can't sue you for slander because you just said maybe. But the reason why you actually wrote this is because you directly want the people to think that he committed war crimes. So while it does definitely get protection under First Amendment rights, unfortunately, according to the Bible in Leviticus, where it says, thou shalt not spread slander among your people, it definitely violates. So, you broke God's laws, but it's okay, because under the laws of man, you're not going to jail yet. So, this article is used essentially to spread slander that Pete Hegseth is a war criminal, even though it says may have, which means absolutely nothing, as we've already established. They're getting ratioed in the response and obliterated by actual Venezuelan people saying, yo, based on evidence, it's not war crimes. They're not fishermen. They're terrorists. They're actually terrorists. There are there's confirmed facts that there are Hezbollah bases and cells, right? These are Lebanese terrorists funded by Iran. Hezbollah bases and cells operating in the region, thanks Hegseth and America. Also, let's not forget that Obama dropped 26,000 drone strikes, which actually are more likely to be actual war crimes than whatever Pete Hegseth did here, with people that were directly coming to kill Americans. So every single time I see that lawmakers warn that Hegseth may have committed war crimes, well, those lawmakers might be pedophiles. They might actually be child rapists. They might. I'm not saying they are, but they might. They might. They really might. I'm just reporting the truth here. They really might. So Pete Hegseth responded to the allegations, and let's just say this man is on fire. Deuce Vault, baby. Well, America's back.
Proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike? You personally?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire is smoke.
Yeah, they bombed a boat. It was on fire.
You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You see,
he's wrong. The press does understand. They're just liars, and they know that the American people won't understand. So Pete Hegseth, you're wrong. You give the press too much credit here. They might be pedophiles, by the way.
in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill, and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about killing.
True. That's right, baby. Tear them to shreds.
Everybody phrases on anonymous sources, not based in anything. Not based in anything.
Isn't that insane? So when people actually started looking for the source that Pete Hegseth said leave none alive, and then they hunted down survivors and killed them, allegedly, right? When they published that, it was based on an anonymous source, which means it's based on literally nothing. They could have just made it up. They said maybe and if true in the title, and then they just basically spread that story around to the point that now there are probably millions of Americans that think that, you know, the actual United States government is full of war criminals. Just like there are people that legitimately think that, you know, every time the political movement goes against the left, they're all war criminals. Every single time, universally.
Truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic because of what politicians and the press does to warfighters.
Honestly true and based, and our soldiers definitely and absolutely need more respect. They really do. They're out there putting their lives on the line just to get slandered by the media. Like, it's disgusting. Like, these are the people that we should be defending to the utmost. Like, these aren't the retards like me on the internet. All right, I'm battling online people that want to kill me. They're battling real people that want to kill them. And then the media makes them the enemy to push political agenda. It's the most evil thing ever. It's insane. I have nothing but respect for our soldiers. So this is the Politico article that lawmakers warn Hegseth may have committed war crimes. And Ilhan Omar, someone who's in the country probably illegally because she seemingly, committed immigration fraud by marrying her brother, says it should shake every one of us to read that the Secretary of Defense may have ordered the killing of unarmed survivors. Do you see what we're dealing with here, man? This dangerous overreach has led to a war crime. Bro, sue him. Sue her to oblivion. Pete Hegseth, I am begging you, take everything she has. Sue her to oblivion. She's worth tens of millions of dollars in Congress right now because she's allegedly participating in gigantic fraud rings. Sue the shit out of her, please. These strikes are exactly the kind of unchecked military actions I move to block through a war powers resolution. Thank you. Thank you from coming from a terrorist nation like Somalia to stop the United States from killing drug traffickers that are killing us. Very cool. Of course, she got obliterated in the comments. If you think Ilhan Omar should be deported, like this reply. This is 32,000 likes. Her tweet only is 4K. So, people are waking up to the fact that this is actually retarded. We're actually watching a giant group of people on the left just advocating blatantly for terrorists and drug traffickers. And again, realize what's going on here. There's an anonymous source, which means nothing, that says that Hegseth may have committed war crimes, and now every single congressperson on the left is using this to spread the libel around that they're war criminals that are running the country. This is insane how unbelievable that the press could be to get away with stuff like this. Well, they said maybe. It's not slander. Yeah, Ilhan Omar might be a pedophile. We have to start doing this. Every time someone says a maybe statement that turns out to just not be true, we all have to say that they might be pedophiles. Because they might. I don't know. I have no idea what Ilhan Omar does with her brother behind closed doors. I don't know how old he was when Ilhan Omar married him. I don't know. In Somalia, in Somalia, they marry 8-year-olds, all right? Listen, I don't know what's going on over there. So she might be a pedophile. And I think it's important to note. It's important to note she might be a pedophile. Anyway, if this account is true, the Washington Post is a genuinely vile slander of both Hegseth and Bradley. True, because the New York Times, out of all places, the New York Times, the leftist of left, decided to come out with an article saying that there is zero evidence behind the Washington Post's claim that Hegseth is a war criminal. And true, fact check. So the New York Times is actually right. So Hegseth ordered a lethal boat strike, but not the killing of survivors, officials say, reports the New York Times. So it turns out they're all wrong. It turns out they're all liars. And it turns out they were all slandering this man. And absolutely, this is what we have to deal with in the media every single day. And no one's going to know this. That's the craziest part. No one's even going to know this. Everyone's just going to think that there's just war crimes happening. So, and just like that, the WAPO, the Wall Street, the Washington Post, kill all survivors story based on anonymous sources is fully debunked. But not before they smeared the Secretary of War and the Trump administration, obviously. They knew it was BS, I agree. They needed a distraction after their seditious six got 2 of our soldiers shot and 1 killed. They're evil. The seditious six is the six leftoids that basically made a video together that they came out saying that you shouldn't follow illegal orders, implying that Trump is an actual war criminal. Once again, giving illegal orders. This is the strategy. I didn't say that Trump is giving illegal orders. I'm just saying that you shouldn't follow illegal orders. They all do this hop, skip, and a jump to avoid actual slander while doing their absolute best to imply exactly what they want to be implied, and then the story gets amplified by every news site. This is what we're dealing with. Also, those 6 Congress people that were in that video, they might be pedophiles. Don't rape children, guys. All right? I'm not saying you do, but don't do it. Like, don't rape kids, guys. I'm not saying that they do, just to be clear. I'm not slandering anyone. I'm not saying that they do, but they shouldn't do it. Don't rape children, you 6 Congress people. Anyway, but this is what we have to deal with. So Fox News actually finally responded that the Washington Post fabricated an entire story.
Trump administration.
Oh, but don't worry, they didn't actually lie because they said maybe.
Says it did not break any laws after carrying out an airstrike on a boat 3 months ago today. The strike was notable, though, because it was multiple shots that were fired by the military, killing 2 people who appeared to have survived the first strike. And now Democrats say they need to know if war crimes were committed.
The question in front of us, and I believe there will be bipartisan investigations in both the House and in the Senate in order to determine whether war crimes were committed and either U.S. law or international law or both.
There's no such thing as international law. That's not a real thing.
Were violated.
Right. So realize what they're doing. They're doing everything in their power, praying that war crimes were committed so that they could actually go after them for that. Meanwhile, Obama dropped 26,000 bombs. All right? Not congressionally approved bombs on kids in Yemen, okay? No one cared. Not one investigation done, all right? But here, actually killing narco-terrorists that were directly trafficking drugs into our country, where we have 100,000 people a year dying of fentanyl overdoses trafficked by these retards, all right? That are part of a Maduro tyrannical regime that have ties to China and Iran and Russia, and we took them out before they were able to kill us. In my opinion, one of the most actual functional use of our military ever, all right? And then, this happens, and they all go on the news to say we have to investigate war crimes. We're seriously thinking that there might be war crimes here, guys. And, you could just add that to the list of what the Democrats slander us of. That's right. Nazis, terrorists, war criminals, pedophile defenders, when it turns out these guys are all over the Epstein files and they didn't release it for 4 years. Like, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And that's their strategy. They just use legal loopholes like ifs and maybes to essentially slander millions of people in the country. And then you have retards that take this a step further. All these highly medicated transgender furry guys that just go out and kill us to the celebration of the masses.
Were violated.
The White House is denying that any international law was broken. They're also saying that Secretary Hegseth did not give that second order to kill those people that had survived that strike. Instead, it was an admiral who carried out that attack. We'll be interested to see if Secretary Hegseth has anything to say with it. Bill, as you know, he's usually seated right next to the president. Trump administration.
Yeah, because he's based. All right, bro has the Deuce Vault Crusader tattoos. All right, that's the kind of guy I want, man. That's the kind of guy I want as the chief of the Secretary of War. All right, I'm a simple man. I saw the Crusader tattoos, and he got my vote immediately. Now, let's look at retards. All right, so this is what the retards are saying on the news. Now, I want you to ask yourself, Are they retarded, or are they propagandists operating against our national interests?
Was this self-defense, and how do the rules of international waters play into whether this was a war crime?
Yeah, in my opinion, no. This is not self-defense.
In his opinion. Now, he can't get sued for slander because he says, in my opinion. Pay attention to the code words as someone that has been, gotten I've gotten cease and desists for slander. That, that never went anywhere, thank God. But I'm familiar with the game, all right? He says, in my opinion, because now it's not slander. He's just saying his opinion. If he would have said that it wasn't self-defense, that's slander. So if you say, in my opinion, that's the cushion that protects him from a lawsuit. Pay attention. In other words, his words mean nothing. He's not willing to actually stake his reputation on it because it's a lie, in my opinion.
No matter where you do the strike, if it's not self-defense, then it's illegal. And look, I have a lot of sympathy for the general idea that when we send our service members out into combat, they got some very difficult decisions to make. When you look at—
Thanks. You made it a million times worse, guys. Thanks, guys. Very cool. Now all these soldiers that are following legal orders to protect us have to think twice that maybe they're going to get slandered by some bald retard in the government.
What was going on in Iraq and Afghanistan, and you're stopping someone. Do they have a gun? Do they have a suicide vest? Are they a threat?
These guys are actual narco-terrorists bringing drugs into our country that have killed 100,000 of us every single year and have drug trafficked and human trafficked people into our nation under Biden's administration, to the point that we now have thousands of people from these Tren de Aragua gangs from Venezuela in our country. Yeah. So they're absolutely a threat. I don't see any possible explanation other than self-defense. This is the most pathetic shit I've ever heard.
When you're in the middle of an insurgency with roadside bombs and car bombs and all of that, even in the aftermath of the Afghanistan pullout, when we had that suicide bomber kill 13 service members and hundreds of people in Kabul, and we did that strike against a car that we thought was a threat that turned out not to be a threat, I have some sympathy for that. But people on a boat in the middle of the Caribbean—
Yeah, why were they on the boat?
Carrying cocaine are—
Carrying cocaine. And probably fentanyl.
Not a direct threat to the lives of our service members or Americans.
This has got to be the most obviously retarded thing I've ever heard in my life. Cartel drug traffickers that are pouring drugs into our country, jumping over our border to the point that we have 100,000 deaths from fentanyl every single year, are not a direct threat, according to this bald retard. This is a Democratic senator, I'm pretty sure. Right? I think he's a senator. Let's see. He's a congressman, Adam Smith. Is this not the most insane thing you've ever heard in your entire life? So this guy was talking about cocaine. So I'm not even talking about fentanyl, all right? In 2024 alone, there were 22,174 overdose deaths involving cocaine. That is, for the record, a lot more than the 13 people that were killed in Afghanistan. Not to say that that wasn't a tragedy. It obviously was. But how can you possibly consider this not a threat? You have to be an actual retard if you think this isn't a threat. It's the most obvious threat in the universe. Oh my God. So, of course, more bald retards decide to come to the defense of the narco-terrorists. This is Senator Mark Kelly. He's one of the seditious six, the people that released their video saying not to follow illegal orders, essentially seemingly slandering the government for being war criminals. And this is him responding to the Franklin memes. I love this timeline.
He's putting out on the internet.
Turtles. Toidles, those damn toidles. Bro, a little rock steady over here. He's waiting for Bebop to show up. That's right, you gotta take down the toidles.
With rocket-propelled grenades.
Toidles with grenades.
And have you seen this? This is the Secretary of Defense. This is not a serious
department.
Person.
Well, it is a very serious person. You can ask the narco-terrorist. Oh, wait, no, you can't actually. A less serious person would have left Survivor. Damn, I'm getting a little bloodthirsty over here. I firmly stand by everything that I've said.
He should have been fired after Signalgate.
He should have been fired after a reporter leaked information from a private group chat. That did nothing. The fake outrage is crazy. Toidles with locket lunches. Dude, it's absolute cinema. This guy's amazing. So Scott Jennings on CNN, the one normal person on the entire news site, absolutely obliterated the entire staff of pearl-clutching liberal women. It's interesting how that happens.
All right, so Scott, I'll let you respond to that because, obviously he feels strongly, but it's also in the context of Trump just coming off of a threat that these lawmakers should be tried for treason, and then he endorsed the idea that they could be hung.
Based. I don't think they should be hung personally, but I like the idea. All right, I really like that the idea is out there that you actually can get the death penalty for treason. I personally think that the people in that video saying that don't follow illegal orders to essentially to convince soldiers to, disobey legal orders from the president because they slander him and make believe that he's a terrorist and that he's a war criminal. I actually firmly support the idea that every single person in that video should be in jail for 10 years and fined up to like $250,000, which is the lowest bar for treason, and I think they absolutely earned it.
For their alleged crimes. So there is a lot of retribution and violence coming from the president.
Well, he's plenty mad
about that. That's not violence. That's justice. That's not violence. Dude, these people are so retarded. Like, they're crazy. They're insane. Words are violence, but violence isn't violence. It's like, oh yeah, a radical Islamist that murdered 2 National Guard. Well, that's just a guy who's responding from grievous battles, and 9/11 was actually bad for the Islamists because now Islamophobia is here. It's like that's the party we're dealing with, okay?
That video that they put out raising the idea that he's issued illegal orders, and in the days that follow, they went on television and were asked directly, what illegal orders? And nobody could name any.
Pretty weird. You said don't follow illegal orders, implying that people should not follow the President of the United States orders. And then they didn't actually have any illegal orders that they've noticed that they can actually explain because there were no illegal orders, actually.
And one of them that's supposed to be the smart moderate, Alyssa Slotkins, started citing Hollywood movies as the rationale for the video. So it seems pretty crazy to me that Democrats would raise the prospect of illegal orders and not be able to name any. Venezuela, look, there's a lot of differences of opinion out there. And on Comey and James, it wasn't about the merits of the case. It was about the appointment of the prosecutor, which is a different thing. But beyond all of that, my rebuttal to this is that the U.S. Constitution has been serving us quite well for 250 years, and there are remedies for everything in the Constitution. But the number one remedy for any political issue in America is called an election. And we just had one in November, and I think there's certain people that haven't gotten over it.
True! Trump won. Get over it. You can't just sit here and try to insurrect against the government. I mean, you could try, but then you should go to jail. Or, maybe get hanged for treason or something. So this is another one of everyone's favorite retards. This is Wajahat Ali. He's a New York Times columnist. This is what he has to say. Pay attention.
You have lost. You lost. The mistake that you made is you let us in the first place. See, that's the thing with brown people. I'm going to say this as a brown person.
I'm sorry.
There's a lot of us.
I have to save this for another video. I actually had a better idea planned for this. This was supposed to be in my Somalia video. I got the tabs wrong. Don't worry. I'm going to save that for, it's going to be absolute cinema. All right. That one's really good. So once again, leftoids don't stop. So this is Leon Panetta. He went on MSNBC and declared that Pete Hegseth did a war crime. Now, this is great because Panetta is the guy who ran the CIA when Barack Obama dropped 26,000 illegal bombs on Yemen. And, that entire area. So, anyway, let's hear how killing narco-terrorists that are trying to kill us is a war crime, but how Obama murdering children is not a war crime.
There is no lawyer that I'm aware of who indicates that second strike is not a war crime. These were individuals in the water who were wounded.
You have no evidence that they were wounded.
It is against the law to strike and kill those individuals. They did that.
Wrong. That's for enemy combatants. All right. If you actually, dude, it's crazy. I'm a blue retard on the internet. I shouldn't know any of this stuff. But wrong. The law is for enemy combatants. These aren't enemy combatants necessarily. They're terrorists, part of a terrorist organization that'll get up and kill you tomorrow instead of today. If they are part of a if they're designatedly tied to terrorist organizations, we got to get rid of them. They're not enemy soldiers in a lawful war.
As far as I'm concerned, there is a war crime involved here, and it's for that reason that I think we need to hold people accountable. Secretary of Defense should be somebody who stands by the law.
There's no Secretary of Defense. He's the Secretary of War. Get with the times, old man.
Who stands by the requirements that you have to put in place if you're going to responsibly...
Oh, my God. It's pathetic. It's so painful to hear this. Like, dude, you ran defense for Obama is fucking bullshit. Like, what are we doing? It's insane. So, this is Mark Kelly, the guy that claimed that, you shouldn't follow illegal orders and therefore you shouldn't listen to President Trump. Well, he had something interesting to say here on the media.
Sort of flimsy legality that was being offered during the briefings. were these sort of strikes that are now in the news what you were making reference to when you posted that video telling members of the military that they needed to feel okay just obeying orders that they felt were illegal?
Based on who this president is and who the Secretary of Defense is, and specifically things that the president has said in the past and things he was talking about doing in the future. Let me give you an example. 2016, he's talking about something on a debate stage that was clearly illegal. And he was reminded by Brett Baer from Fox News that that would be an illegal order. Military won't do that. You know what the president's response was to that? The military will not refuse my orders. Implying that even if they are illegal.
So again, no evidence of any illegal orders. Okay.
They will not refuse them.
All right.
He's also talked about shooting protesters in the legs.
Said it as a joke.
Then he's talking about...
I love how, like, you can't even make jokes anymore because they'll just take you out of context in their speeches. Be like, President Trump, he's just shooting protesters in the legs. Bro, have you seen the protests? Anyone get shot in the legs? Like, what are we doing?
Deploying more troops to American cities.
Based.
And using those cities as training grounds. Do you know what that means?
That means arresting the criminals there because you guys refuse to arrest criminals?
That means using the American people for the military to train on.
Isn't that how anyone gets experience on the job? Arresting criminals is training, I guess. Well, I don't see the problem. You like the criminals, Baldy?
So we were...
I mean, this dude that just allegedly committed treason is actually, he's really comfortable throwing blame at other people.
Looking forward to try to head something off at the pass.
Right.
That could have been...
So any examples of illegal orders, sir?
Really, really bad. So it wasn't about this specific thing.
Oh, so it wasn't about the specific thing. So therefore, there are absolutely zero illegal orders that you could think of, and you just happened to make this video telling the military to not listen to him. Very cool, Baldo. Thanks so much. By the way, for the record, and I mean this seriously, Mark Kelly, do not rape children. You hear me? I hope that everyone's watching this listens. Me telling directly to Mark Kelly, don't rape kids. Don't do it. Don't do it, man. Don't do whatever's going on in your head. That's your business. Just don't rape children. I'm not alleging anything. I'm not saying that he is doing that. Obviously not. No, of course not. What do you mean? I'm not making any allegation. I'm just saying you shouldn't do it. What, you think you should do it? You think you should do that? I don't. I personally think you shouldn't do it. That's my opinion. Anyway, so Cenk Uygur, retard on the left, like this dude, he's pro-Islamic terrorist. Cenk Uygur, let's see what he has to say. There is no fentanyl coming in from Venezuela. All those Americans that died of fentanyl, well, they just found that shit in their backyard. We have no idea who we're bombing. Cenk Uygur has all of the information of the United States Secret Service, and he has come to this conclusion. That's my guy. Last time there were survivors, we had to let them go since they were innocent. All right, that's last time. So to avoid embarrassment, we're now murdering them. Again, no evidence of any of this. He's just saying shit. And why is this happening? All for the multinational oil companies. It's all about the oil. That's right. We don't care about the Americans that are dying of fentanyl overdoses and because of the people invading our country. Absolutely. All right, let's run the fence for Iraq. Anyway, classic, right? It's unbelievable. So, anywho, this is a crazy response, and I thought it was worth noting. My brother died of a fentanyl overdose, you fucking douchebag. And I don't know exactly which shithole third world country it came from. I know for a fact it was the same shit on those Venezuela boats we keep blowing up. Eat shit, propagandist, terrorist sympathizing. And then he says a word that always gets my videos banned on YouTube. I don't know why they hate this word so much. So I'm just going to replace it with a less offensive word. You faggot retard. All right, I'm glad we were able to replace it with something a little better. So anyway, it doesn't stop. So this is an interesting interview between Zoran Mamdani, all right, regarding the Maduro regime in Venezuela.
I wonder if you're reluctant to call them dictators in Cuba and Venezuela.
I'm not reluctant. I just haven't thought about them that often. I'll be honest with you. I think that Maduro's government is one of repression. There's no question about it. And I think
it's in Cuba.
Sorry?
And also it's happening in Cuba since 1959.
And I think that
So he says that Maduro is an authoritarian tyrant. Now this is really interesting because the left is currently in middle of defending Venezuela's regime, and he said this right after meeting President Donald Trump. He has one visit with Trump. He starts eating on camera with spoons. I know, it's crazy. He released a video eating with a spoon, not with his bare hands. Starts calling out Maduro. What is happening? What is the Trump effect? What is going on? So, of
This
course,
is the
this is Hassan Piker meeting up with a retard, the congresswoman who doesn't, either she doesn't know she's sitting with a guy that directly supports terrorism, or she just doesn't care because she's a leftist, and the leftists all are silently supporting terrorism these days, in my opinion. So, let's see what they have to say.
This is the lesson that we needed to learn before the authoritarian regime, that at the end of the day...
What you called in a guy that's pro-China authoritarianism to talk about how you should avoid authoritarianism in America?
It is still the final fail-safe in a democracy. It is the people,
Yeah.
which is why this is where I think one of the big...
Hassan Piker, there's a black woman talking. If you stop paying attention, I am going to be supremely disappointed.
biggest failures of the Democratic Party falls, right? We are so arrogant too often, and like this...
Bro scrolling on his phone while a black woman is talking. Oh my God.
Idea that we did it the right way. This is the only way to do it.
Oh
Voting
my
is the
God.
only way to do it. Running is the only way to do it. And everything else is a problem, right?
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter, you know, the anti-genocide encampments and movement. All of those things have been met with shame by people in leadership. And that's not just this generation. That's generation after generation after generation.
Yeah, he's like, she's just yapping. She doesn't know what she's talking about, which is true, because she doesn't. And that's fair. So that's, Representative Summer Lee sitting with someone that is a dog-abusing, alleged pedophile. Pretty crazy how that keeps happening. These retards want to fight fake authoritarianism so badly. They invited a pro-China, pro-Islamic terrorist regime expert to show them the ropes. That's right. If anyone knows anything about authoritarianism, it's the guy that supports multiple fascist governments. So that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, this story is not big enough, which is why I am covering it to this extent. So, Steven Crowder just dropped a little video about this. I'm really happy he did, because unfortunately I'm not seeing enough people talking about it. The fact that the media ran an entire fake story, A, defending narco-terrorists, obviously, because they hate Trump more than they hate people that are killing Americans. That's become very obvious. And B, honestly slandering, in my opinion, this is actual slander, calling, Secretary Hegseth a war criminal. Now, this has wide-reaching effects that we're not even seeing right now. Look, man, I have a lot of family in Israel, and I know that every single person that's ever served in the IDF, which is basically everybody, is immediately called, a war criminal terrorist just because they're slandered like that throughout the world. Like, I am familiar. The new strategy of the far left is calling counter-terrorism operations war crimes. So you might not know the long-reaching effects of this obvious lie, which was based on absolutely nothing, but I can guarantee you today, you can expect over the next 4 years, infinite calls of war crimes against Hegseth specifically, honestly, probably because he believes in God and because he has Crusader tattoos and they're scared as fuck that maybe he's actually going to kill the bad guys. And they like the bad guys. The bad guys pay their bills. So anyway, let's see what Steven Crowder had to say, because I just want to see more people talking about this.
A double tap was ordered to kill everyone on board that craft.
So that turned out to be... Look at this! Look at this! CNN! On CNN! Pete Hegseth's face. War crime? And it turns out it's completely false! Completely false! But there's a question mark. So they can't get sued for slander because they put a question mark. It's the most evil thing ever. And again, I've seen this before in my personal life. Okay, so I knew this was going to happen eventually, and it's so obvious that it's happening right now. Counterterrorism is now war crimes, according to the left. Pay attention, because whatever the radical Islamists are doing in Israel and in Europe, it's all going to come here too, unless we actually stop it. Yeah, no. All right, boys.
Both Republicans and Democrats are arguing that at best, a second strike is illegal, and at worst, it's a war crime.
No.
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 Republicans, conservatives are not arguing that at best it's illegal.
Cheering, bro. I don't think they realize we are cheering that these people are dead. We're not on the same page. We're not on the same page. Like, you will cheer when Charlie Kirk, an innocent man, a father, a husband, a guy that's killed for freedom of speech, you will cheer when that guy's killed because you hate America, you hate God. We get it. We know. It's pretty obvious. I cheer when the people that try to kill us are dead. All right? I have a very different moral fabric from these guys.
Illegal. They have confetti.
True! People are, I don't think people understand exactly the correct mindset to have here. It's actually, kill them before they kill you is an incredibly based perspective.
Pete Hegseth, Secretary, I don't want to say defense, Secretary of War. This is going viral everywhere, and it's just really funny to me that CNN has to cover our Secretary of War posting a Franklin the Turtle meme.
Well, they don't have to.
They don't have to, but they do it and they cover it
They do it because
seriously.
they love it.
And then they do like the fake outrage. I can't believe he's posting turtles. Turtles.
Just to be clear, in fact, Franklin the Turtle never had a rocket launcher. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, the cartoon.
That's where we're at.
But I want to get to what it is that they're actually
We're not going to watch this whole video. I just wanted to see the actual coverage here.
saying. We talked about this when, for example, you had these representatives tell people it's okay to defy unlawful orders, and they mischaracterize unlawful orders,
Correct.
right, encouraging sedition. And the left, they don't actually care about the troops. They never have.
Of course not. Of course not. The troops are all Republicans. What are you talking about? Obviously.
In this case, when they say Pete Hegseth is guilty of war crimes, they're accusing an entire chain of command.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that it's not just one guy that's if there's war crimes done, it's the commander, and it's also every single person that followed that commander's order all the way until the killing of these people. All those people are war criminals. They should all be treated like the Nuremberg trials, honestly. It's like the Nazis during the Nuremberg trials, they were just following orders, but the orders were to genocide the Jews, okay? It's a bad order, so they ended up getting punished for that. As an example, the Jews and the Gypsies and everyone else that they were relatively unkind to. So, realistically, that's what you're doing here. You're basically saying that it's not just Hegseth that's allegedly a war criminal, but it's also every single person under him that's working with him.
Multiple times of war crimes. So let's be clear about this. It's sort of a character impugning form of collateral damage.
That's exactly the purpose, but that's the purpose. You don't understand. That is exactly the purpose here. That's exactly what they're doing. It's the most unbelievable, disgusting thing you could do to somebody. It's insane, the level of slander we're dealing with. And then they say, unify with us. Like, that's the craziest part. Oh, this president is causing divisiveness. And then you go out and you call every single person you don't like a pedophile, a Nazi, and a war criminal. Like, do you understand what we're dealing with here?
Let me set this up for you. Pete Hegseth bombed another drug boat in the Caribbean.
Based.
All of this, the reason everyone's talking about it stems from a hit piece in the Washington Post titled "Hegseth Order on First Caribbean Boat Strike Officials Say Kill Them All," and they claim that it seemed like he might be guilty of war crimes, right? That's what's been circulating. They claim that Hegseth gave a spoken directive to kill all helpless survivors, and naturally, CNN jumped on the bandwagon.
It's so insane. I feel like anyone could do this. Like, that's the wildest part. And you know what? Honestly, this was a really effective character assassinating moment for the left. It really was, because all the leftists, they're not going to actually watch the response. CNN doesn't even need to correct the record, because they put a question mark at the end. So they're not even going to correct the record. They're just going to let their false words linger. But they said maybe, so they can't get sued.
War crimes and whether Pete Hegseth committed one. The Pentagon strikes on alleged boats in the Caribbean. They are raising
terrorist drug boats.
Serious alarms from both sides of the aisle tonight, despite a debate about whether the administration has the authority to even strike the boats.
Whack-a-mole.
22 of them have
Are these
been sunk.
illegal orders?
It's so crazy how they keep doing this. It's insane. Does America even have the authority to kill the people that are trying to kill Americans? Well, watch more and find out. I will teach you exactly what to think. Don't worry, your programming is coming very shortly.
People killed in those strikes.
22, that's like winning
and now
Battleship
the reports
4 times.
seem to indicate that one of those strikes left no survivors, and a follow-up strike or a double tap was ordered to kill everyone on board that craft. Both Republicans and Democrats are arguing that at best, a second strike is illegal.
It's not true. Like, it's crazy that they just lie like this.
And at worst, it's
the media lie to you.
Boy, talk about straw manning. Both Democrats and Republicans are arguing that at best it's illegal.
Bro, this is why Trump won the election. They're like, both Republicans and Democrats are absolutely disgusted with Trump calling a reporter retarded. And then the Republicans are like, no, you misunderstand. No, you misunderstand. You misunderstand.
I've spoken with a lot of people, and
Trump called a reporter, "Hey, piggy, quiet piggy." And both Republicans and Democrats are very upset about this. Meanwhile, the Republicans are like, no. Are you insane? Are you insane? We're just waiting to see who drops the N-bomb first.
Looked at the feedback online? No. Republicans, conservatives are not arguing that at best it's illegal. They have confetti.
True.
And streamers. So let me give you a few key facts here. Check the references. We make the links available in the description of every single show. Key fact 1, okay? When you say this is illegal or a war crime, you are impugning everyone involved with that chain of command to strike. They think that Pete Hegseth, between bourbons, because they constantly try and portray him as a drunk.
That's what they do. That's what they do. Dude, the Pete Hegseth coverage is crazy. I think they're honestly terrified of that guy. But honestly, I think it's because he believes in God. And I feel like we see it every single time. It's like this, the left has become like the anti-God party. And yes, America is founded on biblical values, and that's why they're anti-Western civilization as well. And it's like, it's insane watching it happen in real time. It's like, bro, if I would try to write a book and concoct the most satanic villain of all time, I would just end up with caricatures of the party that actually supports the murder of unborn babies, the castration of children, and the generational slanderers and celebrators of anyone that gets killed if they happen to be preaching God's word. Like, it's crazy how this is happening.
Take out the boat.
Hit it again.
Let me explain to you the process as best as I can tell. And of course, you can't know all of the people involved. And Josh, you can correct me wherever I'm wrong. I know this is Navy here, as I understand it. The process to engage is first find. You get intel. You detect the boat. Fix. Pinpoint the boat location. Track. You have to follow that boat. Then target, where you go through options, assess the risks, satisfy the rules of engagement, and then you engage. You transmit the order to strike the drug boat. Then finally assess afterward the report, which will provide the results of the attack.
Yeah, so every single person involved in any one of these steps, according to CNN, would be a war criminal now.
The attack, if necessary. This would actually involve about 3 to 4 levels of command, including a tactical commander, a mission or element commander, a task force or strike group, and the maritime or theater HQ. All of these people, through these processes, would be involved with what the left says, at best, is illegal, or most likely a war crime. So I guess you want to indict all of them.
True. They do, especially, it's true, especially when you look at what they were talking about 2 weeks ago when they were saying, that the seditious video came out and they were saying that you have not only a duty but a responsibility to disobey illegal orders.
Right.
And then you got other people going, well, I want the names of all the people involved in these boat strikes. And it's like, what are you going to do?
Right.
I mean, just get ready, because the moment the Democrats take power, they're going to do their absolute best to put all of these people in jail. I don't think people are aware of what's coming if the left ever gets in power again. Like, we have to fucking do something, man. We have to fight. We have to actually put some major guardrails in place to make sure that these people can't just decide to take vengeance on their political adversaries like they tried to do to Trump. I know they keep saying Trump can't target political opponents and try to, like, get him for all that, but no one targets political opponents like the left. All right, who tried to jail Trump forever and do everything in their power to ruin this man's life, including potentially trying to get him killed. I'm not saying that the left was involved in the assassination attempts on Donald Trump. I am saying that we still don't really know anything about the guy that tried to assassinate Donald Trump, or the second guy that tried to assassinate Donald Trump, or how the first guy got there, and how there were no agents on the sloped roof that the guy happened to be on. There's just like a lot of questions, I'm not saying that they were involved or anything. I'm just saying that they would have celebrated if it would have happened. And we know that for a fact, because Charlie Kirk is nowhere near as powerful or influential as Donald Trump. And the mass celebrations will haunt me for the rest of my life.
What is your plan? You're going to put all these people in prison? What, are you going to lock up the entire military? You're going to lock up everybody?
Obviously. That's what they did for the January 6th guys. They were just considered political prisoners and insurrectionists. And they went ahead and they put as many of them in jail as possible. And then they opened the floodgates to flood the country with tens of millions of illegals to rig every future election. Thank God they failed, because the American people came together. But yeah, they only care about power. And that's why they're doing everything in their power to slander, lie, manipulate, and destroy every guy on the right that they possibly can. Because ultimately, that they're the ones between them and absolute power in the mask of democracy. That's what they want. Yeah.
But you went to Iraq?
Right.
Yeah.
What?
I love how the media basically pictures him as Hans Gruber saying, "Hit it again."
Yeah.
Shoot, it's like, what do you think he's doing?
By the way, we'll get to that. Was refuted through New York Times 3 sources, anonymous, but the left provides anonymous sources. So at this point, who cares?
I mean, the Washington Post's article was anonymous too.
As far as I'm concerned, that's our tax dollars providing a mercy kill. They're out in the middle of the open water. They're clinging to a boat. The sharks would take care of them.
Yes.
You want to go that way?
Yeah, and I correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows, but the Geneva Convention, the original one, does not include naval warfare at all. So that'd be one. That'd be one doctrine. There's an updated one, a second Geneva Convention.
I'm just saying the Geneva Convention was done in Canada, and Franklin is a Canadian mascot. I'm just saying, I'm connecting the dots here.
That one states that you are not allowed to attack injured combatants if they're on a medical aid ship. I didn't see any. Maybe there's somewhere else. I didn't see it, but I didn't see anywhere.
No, a cigar boat with 4 outboard motors and no fishing equipment within a 10-mile radius.
That's right. It's just fishermen in a fishing submarine, guys.
Qualified.
With drugs.
Baggie, like you're not on a medical aid ship, fine, but what like a giant baggie of floating cocaine?
Well, that's how you fish. It makes the fish very happy, the cocaine. Takes them fast to the boat.
Yeah, it's crazy because this is how a normal conversation about this would go. Like, it's the most indefensible position of all time, running defense for the narco-terrorists.
And you can take the hook out because of the smile on their face.
That's true.
You make the fish happy, you make me happy.
Yes.
You make everybody happy.
All these Italians in Venezuela that are having this conversation.
Cocaine is happy. I don't care. Guys, like at a certain point,
this is where I think a solid 99% of people on the right are. We're at the I don't care stage.
Remember Code Pink? They disappeared when there were drone strikes from Barack Obama. This is how you know the left are communist. McCarthy tried to warn you guys.
True.
Okay, to be clear, they will destroy everything simply to try and gain power. In this case,
1,000%.
It's a slow news cycle, and so they go, "Oh, is this a war crime?" There could be no collateral damage. These people exist only to harm.
True.
Right? They are transporting drugs. They do this as a career option.
Yeah.
And no nation wants to claim them because they're going, oh, we don't have anything to do with it. So who's going to bring the charges? I don't care. Here's another fact, okay, just before people start going to war crime. Hegseth absolutely has the right to bomb these boats.
True.
In January, President Trump designated the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
That's right. That's what I'm saying, man. Dude, terrorists don't get the same treatment as enemy combatants. Thank God, because they don't treat us like enemy combatants. So that's that. Like this, it's such a retarded line anyway.
FTOs?
It's like I can't believe Israel would bomb a hospital that Hamas terrorists are illegally using as a base of war, where they're firing missiles out of hospitals, and then Israel blows up the hospital, and it's like, wow, war crimes, genocide every time. They target hospitals. Look at them, war crime. You can't target hospitals. Bro, it's not the same rules. They did the war crime by using the hospital and by being terrorists, all right, and by using the hospital, all right. They did the war crimes. All right? You can't live with this asymmetric value system that the left keeps imposing upon you. Like, what are you supposed to do? Just let them keep firing missiles at you? It's like, oh, it's a war crime to kill the terrorists that are coming to drug our people. So what's the solution? Letting them drug our people? Like, it's so obvious if you apply even just the most minute amount of logic.
And they notified Congress that the USA is in armed conflict with the FTOs. The Secretary of War, previously Defense, had the right to defend.
Like, literally, we told you guys, you're terrorists. If you bring drugs, we'll kill you. They tried to bring drugs, and we killed them. Yes! That's what I voted for. It's exactly what I wanted.
The United States of America from these FTOs. Another fact here. This was refuted almost immediately. In the New York Times, where...
Yeah, this ended up just not being true. Like, the entire Kill All Survivors thing just was a hoax. Like, they literally just lied about it. Now, even though I think that it might even be justified, even if it was said, to be clear, it didn't even happen. Like, they literally just made that entire story.
Debunked it, saying, like, actually, there were some officials who said that Hegseth order, it did not include any written instructions to kill any survivors. He made no oral directive after the fact to kill survivors. And at that point, they had heard no more verbal orders. But that didn't stop people like Stephen Colbert from lamenting the deaths of poor drug runners.
It's insane that this is where we're at in modern American culture.
On Thursday, the Washington Post published a blockbuster story on the administration's first bombing of an alleged drug smuggling boat back in September.
A drug smuggling boat is what he meant to say. He's afraid that the dead terrorists are going to sue him for slander. So he says, the reason why he says alleged, you have to understand the words that they use. The reason why he's using alleged is because he wants people to think that they killed innocent, helpless fishermen. Not because he's scared of a lawsuit, because they're dead. The drug smugglers are dead, and they're not going to be suing you.
According to the Post sources, Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered the Navy to, quote, kill them all.
Wait, did he just slander him?
Secretary Pete Hegseth, an alleged drug smuggling boat back in September, according to the Post sources.
Right. According to the Post's sources, which are anonymous,
Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered the Navy to, quote, kill them all after...
So this ended up not being true, but still it was on CBS, it was on Stephen Colbert's show, millions of people saw it.
The first strike, a live drone feed showed 2 survivors, so the commander overseeing the operation then ordered a second strike to comply with Hegseth's directive, killing both survivors.
Terrorists, by the way.
That is unspeakably horrific.
Is it though? Is it though? Is it really though? Like, even if it happened, which it didn't, it's still not unspeakably horrific. What is horrific is the Americans that are dying. That's a lot more horrific, in my opinion. The innocent people that are dying because of drug overdoses, because they end up with fentanyl in their sugar or whatever the fuck. All right? Like, what are we talking about?
I disagree.
Let them drown. Let them drown.
I disagree. By the way, the second strike would be to ensure that the drugs are destroyed so another boat of scumbags can't go out and retrieve it. But I tell you what, I don't care. If you are going to declare a war crime against a terrorist operating organization where there can be no collateral damage. These are the moving goalposts, right? It was, look at these women and children, whether it's Afghanistan, insert whichever war here.
True.
Now, there's no one to be found other than hardened criminals running drugs.
Terrorists.
That kill, how many people were killed last year from just fentanyl overdose?
Like
It's about 75,000. I want to say 76,000.
Something like that.
More Americans have died from drug overdoses, certainly opiate overdoses, than were killed in Vietnam.
True.
They move women and children. Okay, just drug runners on a cigar boat with lots of drugs. It's still a war crime. Seems to me like you're playing politics. And for his part, Hegseth isn't playing that game. He did respond with this picture of Franklin the Turtle captioned.
This is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we call absolute cinema. Franklin targets narco-terrorists. Oh my God, it's beautiful. But yeah, no, it's insane watching the news bend over backwards to paint people. And they're like, boo, the liberals in the crowd. Boo, I can't believe he would go after that. Leave the narco-terrorists alone. This is what we're up against. This is actually what we're up against. I'm really glad Hegseth responded with this meme. I'm really glad these memes are everywhere because, quite honestly, I think it's the most sympathetic position in the world. Again, as a proud American, I firmly support the kill terrorists mindset that I think a lot of good people still have. But since our Secretary of War is a man of God, and I try to be as well, let's quote Exodus 22:2 for a second. If a thief is caught breaking in at night and is struck a fatal blow, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed. But if it happens after sunrise, then the defender is guilty of bloodshed. According to most interpretations, the idea is that if a thief is caught breaking into your house at night and you fight back, he will kill you and steal your shit. So therefore, anyone that has this intent to kill you, you kill them first. However, if it happens after sunrise, well then, I mean, he's doing it in the day. Maybe he doesn't think anyone's around. Hopefully, no one's there. And therefore, he doesn't actually have the intent to kill you. So therefore, you can't kill him because then he doesn't actually have murderous intent. This is the ultimate self-defense verse, man. In my opinion, drug traffickers that are coming with the honest-to-God purpose of flooding our country with drugs and killing hundreds of thousands of us, with all due respect, I think that guy's pretty equivalent to a thief breaking in at night. And if he struck a fatal blow, I will shed no tears. Don't be a terrorist next time, okay? Skill issue, it's on you. Fuck you. Franklin will kill you. Bye!